The solar system came into existence approximately 4.5 to 5 billion years ago. Expanding gas nebulas in the universe were influenced by supernova explosion and began to shrink, creating a large vortex. In the center of the vortex, a primitive sun was born. A small vortex becomes the seed of a planet. Then the planet grows by attracting surrounding matter. In the center of the vortex, the temperature of the primitive sun rises rapidly. Eventually, nuclear fusion occurs and the sun is created. The origins of the universe and the solar system are shrouded in mystery, and planetary exploration is the primary method by which we hope to find answers. Progress in space travel technology has made it possible to reach planets which we could previously only observe from Earth through telescopes. American missions to explore the planets started in 1960. Planets to be explored were selected according to their distance from the Earth. The first planet to be chosen was the nearest one, Venus. Its average distance from Earth is 42 million kilometers. Galileo was the first person to see Venus through a telescope. It bears the name of the Roman goddess of love, Venus, and also the morning star and the evening star. Mariner 2 was launched on August 27, 1962. Its mission: to collect data on the surface temperature and upper atmosphere of Venus. On June 14, 1967, it was followed by Mariner 5. Mariner 5 measured the composition and density of Venus's atmosphere, surface temperature, and magnetic field. The dense atmosphere of Venus consists primarily of carbonic acid gas and some nitrogen. The atmospheric pressure on the surface is 100 millibars, making it impossible for any life form to exist. Clouds in the upper atmosphere flow at the speed of 100 meters per second from east to west, so quickly that they can circle Venus in 4 days. The subsurface temperature is minus 35 degrees centigrade, and that of the surface is 438 degrees. Mariner 5 also detected a weak magnetic field on Venus. In 1978, Pioneer Venus 1 and Venus 2 were both launched. They performed scientific measurements of the atmosphere of Venus. Before the success of the Venus probes, reaching another planet had been the stuff of fantasy. The fourth planet of the solar system, Mars, was the second one selected for observation. For a long time, people thought that there might be life on Mars. Over 100 years ago, patterns of straight lines were observed and thought to be artificially built canals. Mariner 4, launched on November 28, 1964, reached Mars after nearly 10,000 kilometers and sent back 21 pictures the following year on July 14th. These pictures indicated that Mars's surface was very similar to that of our Moon. Mariner 9 was launched on March 30th, 1971, and on November 13th, it entered Mars's orbit. For over a year, Mariner 9 continued to orbit the planet. During that time, it transmitted 7,400 photographs to Earth. Those pictures, transmitted to a TV monitor, clarified details of the composition of Mars's surface. Viking 1 was the first exploratory craft to achieve a soft landing on Mars. The Explorer consists of two parts, an orbiter and a lander. The orbiter remains in Mars's orbit, relaying communications to a remote sensor while the lander roams the surface. The scheduled touchdown point was Chryse Planitia in the northern hemisphere. However, after examination of the photos from the orbiter and radar observations from Earth, it was decided the scheduled site was unsuitable because of its irregular surface. Eventually, on July 20th, it was decided to land on the western side. The Mars lander, Viking, was the most capable robot that had ever been designed. Viking collected sand from Mars's surface with its robot arm, analyzed materials with its automated instruments for analysis, and sent the data back to Earth. Viking 2 was launched on September 9, 1975, and landed a year later in Utopia Province, a week after Viking 1's landing. Mars's environment is extremely severe, and its atmospheric pressure of carbonic acid gas is only 7 millibars. The noon temperature at the equator is 25 degrees centigrade. At night, it drops to minus 70 degrees. The lander recorded a strong wind of There is a permanent ice cap at Mars's North Pole. Mars is only half the size of Earth, but its volcanoes are more active, and its valleys and deserts are much larger. This is Mars's largest volcano, Olympus. Its height, measured from the surrounding desert area, is 24,000 meters, and a plain below the volcano extends for 600 kilometers. At the present time, this is the largest known volcano in our solar system. Around the volcanoes, there are a number of features indicating where water used to flow. The spectacular Mariner Valley is the largest. It is a gigantic valley that continues along the equator for 5,000 kilometers. There are two small satellites orbiting Mars. They are Phobos and Deimos. Phobos is approximately 22 kilometers in diameter. Deimos is smaller, only about 12 kilometers in diameter. Viking has explained some of the mysteries of Mars. It will probably not be very long before man sets foot on Mars and views this red planet with his own eyes. The first planet of our solar system, Mercury, is the nearest planet to the Sun. Mariner 10, launched on November 3, 1973, was the first exploratory craft for Mercury. It encountered Mercury on February 5, 1974, and moved towards it using the planet's own gravitation. On March 29th, at a distance of 720 kilometers from Mercury, it sent back pictures which looked very similar to our moon. The surface of Mercury is covered with a number of craters. There is also an ocean. The pictures taken by Mariner 10 show the severity of Mercury's environment. The fifth planet of our solar system, Jupiter, is the biggest planet of all. Its diameter is 11 times greater, and its weight is 318 times heavier. than the Earth's. Pioneer 10, which was launched on March 3, 1972, reached Jupiter in December 1973. Jupiter differs completely from the Earth and is more akin to the Sun. If Jupiter's mass were greater, it would have caused a nuclear fusion reaction and become a fixed star burning as a sun. Pioneer 10 continued its scientific observation for about a week. After it passed Jupiter, it was accelerated by Jupiter's gravitation and became the first man-made item to leave the solar system. Following Pioneer 10, Pioneer 11 was launched on April 6, 1973. It reached Jupiter in December 1974. Towards the end of the Pioneer program came the Voyager missions. They started in 1972 and were based on the data obtained from Pioneer. The Voyager explorers carry 2 cameras and are highly efficient robots. Voyager 2 was launched on August 20, 1977, and reached Jupiter in August 1979. Voyager 1, launched in September 1977, reached Jupiter in March 1979. The Voyager craft solved the mystery of a red spot on the surface of Jupiter. It turned out to be a gigantic airstream. Before Voyager, Saturn was thought to be the only planet to have a ring. However, it was discovered that Jupiter also has a ring. This ring is located at a distance of 1.8 times the radius of Jupiter. Particles which form the ring are extremely small, measuring only about 2 microns. Jupiter has a number of satellites. The four largest are named Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Io is the nearest to Jupiter and is 3,640 kilometers in diameter, almost as big as our moon. The Voyager cameras recorded a high level of volcanic activity on the surface of Io. Giant clouds of volcanic smoke reach 200 kilometers in height. Next to Io is Europa, the second closest of Jupiter's satellites. Its surface is covered with ice, 5 to 10 kilometers thick. The surface of Ganymede is crisscrossed by a number of channels. The dominant feature of Callisto is a huge crater resembling ripples created when a stone is dropped into water. The sixth planet of our solar system is Saturn. It is very different from the other planets and filled with mysteries and puzzles for us. Poets and romantics find Saturn particularly beautiful because of its ring. Its diameter is about 10 times greater than the Earth's, and its weight is about 95 times heavier. After Voyager 1 and 2 observed Jupiter in November 1980, they encountered Saturn in August 1981. The two Voyager spacecraft photographed the north polar region of Saturn and recorded constant cloud movement. This considerably increased our curiosity about Saturn's ring. The ring consists of more than 1,000 overlapping thinner layers or rings, each of which forms a concentric circle around the center of Saturn. Within this ring, there is an incomplete ring, which is 24 to 50 kilometers thick. Like Saturn's satellites, the particles that form the outer ring are mainly ice. The ice particles are from 1 centimeter to 10 meters thick. The inner ring consists of ice particles that measure only 1 micron. There is a variety of views about the origin of Saturn's ring. Recent opinion holds that it is a result of a collision between a tiny satellite and another planet, with the debris forming the ring. In fact, the Voyager craft found a number of tiny satellites inside and around the ring. Saturn's satellite, Titan, is the largest satellite in our solar system. Since Titan's atmosphere is composed of thick nitrogen, we cannot see its surface. Nitrogen is the main component in the Earth's atmosphere, and therefore the possibility exists that there is life on Titan. Voyager 1 was programmed to travel to the outer solar system. Voyager 2 continued the process of observation. In January 1986, it reached Uranus. Before the encounter, we already knew that Uranus had 9 rings, but Voyager discovered another. These rings were thought to be rock particles, and this was confirmed by Voyager. Voyager was programmed to reach the 8th and 9th planets of our solar system, Neptune and Pluto. Now a mission is planned for a manned expedition to Mars.